r/AskReddit. What's a story where the bad guys are actually completely 100% right, to the point where it's weird the story keeps calling them the bad guys. Iceman and Top Gun. I used to work in naval aviation and he was totally right. Maverick was dangerous and unreliable. Mr. Wilson. I was a tween when the movie came out. I was infatuated when Martha had to go make sandwiches. Infuriated. Not infatuated. I can't read. I was infuriated when Martha had to go make sandwiches when the steaks got paint all over them. Fuck Dennis. I have a thing against Dennis's parents. That kid's effed up and I blame them. Jack and the Beanstalk. Some dick finds the giant's house and starts taking all of his stuff. And then Jack chopped down what was the world's last beanstalk, adding murder and ecological terrorism to the theft, enticement, and trespass charges already mentioned, and all the giant's children didn't have a daddy anymore. But he got away with it and lived happily ever after, without so much as a guilty twinge about what he had done, which proves that you can be excused for just about anything if you are a hero, because no one asks inconvenient questions. That weird episode of Friends where Phoebe is convinced her dead mother is reincarnated as a cat, so she tries to steal it from its owner, and Ross is presented as the bad guy for pointing out how ridiculous this is. I read that this plot was actually suggested by one of the main writers who had recently lost their own parent. Nobody wanted to point out that it was stupid because they didn't want to seem insensitive, so they all just went with it. To be fair, it was definitely not out of character for Phoebe. Another episode where Phoebe says she doesn't believe in evolution and even gravity, and Ross cannot let that slide, and somehow we're supposed to think that he's the bad guy. His career was literally studying evolution, and when he tries to carefully and nicely explain the facts, somehow is portrayed as he is the problem. He doesn't even ridicule Phoebe, like Chandler does to Joey so many times. He tries to explain evolution to Phoebe with examples and models, but somehow we are supposed to think he is insufferable. I was totally on Team Ross that episode. When you are close friends with someone, you don't let them be ignorant on such basic things. Imagine a doctor being okay with his close friends spouting anti-vax nonsense. Every single Donald Duck cartoon. Dude usually just wants to chill out without being bothered, and there's always someone bothering him, and then he gets blamed for standing up for his own needs. The older I get, the more I emphasize with Donald Duck. Disney understood that back in the day, too. His cartoons were actually more popular than Mickey's because he was more relatable. I don't know what IIRC stands for. When Disney was asked to make a cartoon explaining how income tax helped the war effort during World War II, they chose Donald because he would be relatably frustrated with the whole process at first, but learn how it worked. Donald is really interesting, actually, because he was promoted to sergeant and was given discharge papers in the 80s as thanks for his service during World War II, to the fact that he canonically joined the army in 1941 in a Disney short. He proceeded to star in the most Disney wartime shows and be featured on a high proportion of wartime badges Disney designed, over 200 of them. I believe he's also an honorary member of both the Navy and Marine Corps thanks to his morale and propaganda contributions to the war effort. Fun fact, Dymond is also really popular in, I believe it's South America and other European countries. Dymond's like a really popular character outside of America, it seems, because we don't get a lot of his content now. Because I know, like, there's a whole Donald Duck comic book that is made. I don't remember. I know there's one that releases specifically in a Spanish-speaking country, because all the pages of it I've seen are in Spanish, and I think there's one that's in Italian. So, yeah. Any rom-com where the main character cheats on their partner with the new love interest that they end up with. Plus the setup that they do to make the audience dislike the current partner in order to make the cheating more palatable is often super contrived. I watched one recently where the only offense the current partner committed was to step briefly out of the main character's company Christmas party to put the finishing touches on closing a huge sales deal at his job. I guess it was supposed to be movie shorthand for him being more interested in his work than her, but the writers were super lazy about it because his choice seemed pretty reasonable in the moment and he was an otherwise likable character. He totally got shafted. Police Academy. They let a bunch of violent, unstable, dishonest deadbeats into the police force, and the chief of police was supposed to be okay with that. He was doing the public a favor by trying to weed out the worst ones. Most heist movies. Oh, he's doing it to afford medicine for a sick kid. Okay, but he just killed 14 security guards. None of them will be going home to their families now. Never really called the bad guy, but Reese Witherspoon is definitely the bad guy in Sweet Home Alabama. Her New York fiancé is a super good guy and puts up with a crazy bee the whole movie. This is a wild pull, low, but High School Musical. I'd be pissed if I worked my ass off for years to get the lead in a musical only for them to give it to someone else who didn't technically attend the auditions. Not to forget that Troy is the villain in High School Musical 2 for trying to sort out his future as a college basketball player rather than fucking about. The entire seasons of Inhumans. Maximus is attempting to free slaves, but the show is telling us to cheer for Black Bolt and the royal family. The ethics in that show are fucking bonkers, man. For those who don't know, everyone in the Inhuman Society gets exposed to gas, which randomly mutates them. If the gas gives you a sexy mutation, you get to stay in your home with your family. But if the gas gives you an ugly mutation, you get sent to the mines as a lifelong slave, and the good guys are the people who uphold the system, and the bad guy is the person who thinks this system is wrong. What the actual fuck, man? How did that shit get green light? Peter Rabbit. He was a thief, a glutton, a trespasser, a burglar, a naughty little rabbit. Meanwhile, Mr. McGregor only wanted to produce something of value and feed his family. Law-abiding citizen does it well from both characters' perspective. Mrs. Doubtfire, because Pierce Bronson was really nice and was a lonely middle-aged man who wanted a family, but Mrs. Doubtfire was so mean to him and even tried to kill him with pepper, knowing he was allergic. Mrs. Doubtfire and the Santa Claus have terrible messages about respecting visitation rates. That guy in the Bee movie. Girlfriend leaves him for a fucking bee. Said bee proceeds to gaslight him to thinking he's crazy anyway. That movie sure is weird. Answer by another user from a similar thread years ago. Megatron. The Decepticons were formed due to political corruption in a completely broken caste system. Megatron and the original Decepticons, Shockwave and Soundwave, were essentially born into the lowest caste on Cybertron, the field workers miners. They were born into conditions where their only way to stay alive and not be murdered in the middle of the night was to fight in the gladiator pits, where it was kill or be killed. The rest of the Cybertrons, Transformers, were split into the middle caste and the rich caste. The middle caste were the basic workers, like construction workers, archivers, other low-quality, tedious lives that they had no way out of. The rich caste controlled the entire government on Cybertron. These were the Primes. They shared the title with Optimus Prime, but he was not one of them. They kept the lower classes underfoot with no way of advancing their civilization whatsoever. The middle class was well off for the most part, but the low caste, that Megatron was in, was disregarded, completely treated like trash. So then this gladiator named Megatron starts inspiring all those lower caste workers and telling them they don't have to live this way. Megatron is the first person who gains traction, and with the help of the archiver in the middle caste called Optimus, not yet Prime, begins to spread his ideas of freedom and being able to choose your life and do what you want to. At this point, the Decepticons are becoming a major threat to the higher caste. Rogue terrorist Decepticons begin performing terrorist attacks on various parts of Cybertron, even things like amusement parks, because yes, Transformers had those, and Megatron realizes how much power that he has. Megatron and Optimus are given a hearing below a high council to discuss fixing their society, because at this point, Megatron and Optimus are the head of the mostly peaceful revolution. The council does not think that Megatron has any desire to cause destruction, just that his followers were becoming out of control. It was becoming a major issue, so it had to be addressed. At this hearing, the High Council of Primes addresses the clerk called Optimus for his efforts in trying to improve their society and offer him the rank of Prime. He accepts, realizing that they may be able to fix their society without a full revolution. Megatron becomes enraged. His closest friend betrays him to join the very system he hated, and he absolutely loses it there. He signals his followers, who were among the audience in the chamber at this point, in the uprising had been spreading throughout the whole planet, to bring down the building. Megatron, who had gone nearly power mad, swears to kill Optimus for betraying their ideals and friendships. The building collapses, killing most of the Primes. Optimus and a few others escape. Optimus Prime becomes the leader of the Reforming Society. Meanwhile, the Decepticons gain more and more power. Thus begins the power struggle between those who want to peacefully reform, Autobots, and those who want to scrap the entire system, killing anyone who opposes Decepticons. The conflict continues until Cybertron is finally bled dry and they must leave. The devastated reminder of their society, the Autobots flee from their dying planet, but Megatron gives chase. They eventually wind up on Earth. Megatron was never evil. He felt rage because of the injustice of watching his kin die in the gladiator pits, and his closest friend betraying everything they had worked for and all of their ideals. He was eventually driven mad by power, brainwashing his loyal followers who believed what they were doing was right the whole time. Yes, Transformer has very deep lore. A shame that Bay doesn't try to include this rich lore and history that the series has. Also, this is what happens before G1, the 80 cartoon, if you're wondering. So much Transformer lore I was not prepared for. Katherine Heigl's character in Knocked Up. When I watched it as a teenager, I thought she was a frigid bitch who needed to lighten up and let Seth Rogen's character have fun. Now, as an adult in my 30s, I'm like, wow, that dude did not have his shit together. I get why she was stressed out. Edit, please stop with the actually comments. I don't care. The biggest gripe I have with that movie is the push. The baby will make him grow up a lie. No, it won't. Cabin in the Woods. Eldritch horrors will kill everything if occasionally some people aren't sacrificed to some silly ghost or whatever. Yeah, and the two people who caused the end of the world will die instantly anyway. They sacrificed everything for nothing. Fenrir Ferris from the Norse mythology. 1. Taken from his home. 2. Everyone was afraid of him even though he did nothing. 3. Betrayed. 4. Chained. 5. Sword stuck in his open mouth, preventing him from closing it. 6. Lapped. 7. Imprisoned for many years. Tell me anyone who would not become crazy after something like this. He was also clever enough to know of the trap and very likely, when dared to fight Odin, being aware of the consequences. Iconic is that we have nations doing worse for less. I think it's the most common interpretation of the mythology that the Norse gods doom themselves in their paranoia, like because they knew Fenrir was prophesied to try and kill them, they inadvertently provided him with the motivation to do so. To quote Master Oogway, one often meets his destiny on the road he takes to avoid it. Little Mermaid. It's my favorite Disney movie, but King Triton was not wrong to not want his teenage daughter shacking up with an adult man. Shere Khan just wanted to eat. He just wanted to keep humans out of the jungle, too. Everything you said about humans was warranted. Hades in mythology, most of the time seen as the bad guy because he rules the underworld. But he was sent there and he was just doing his job, maintain the souls inside, deliver punishment when needed, etc. And Zeus is a horrible guy. Hades is one of the most mild gods in there. When Hades came to realize how messed up the world was now that he had accidentally caused winter to be a thing, he used his powers to safeguard all the seeds of the world beneath the earth during that season so that they would be ready to bloom when his wife returned to her mother. Name one other god that ever admitted to making a mistake and worked to correct it for the sake of humans. Peter Pan, the pirates are just grown-up lost boys that he brought to Neverland. They just wanted to leave and return to their lives. Also, if you read the book, he's been kidnapping Wendy's female ancestors for hundreds or maybe thousands of years. Every time the laundry and dirty dishes stack up too high, he goes to Earth and finds Wendy to come clean up for him so he never ever has to clean up for himself. At the end of the novel, he makes a deal with Wendy's parents that she can come to Neverland to take care of him for a few weeks every year. And when she gets too old, he takes her daughter, and then her daughter, and then her daughter. The Wendys never get to go on any of the adventures, of course. Just stay back at headquarters and cook and clean for a team of disgusting and poorly behaved boys. Not going to lie, that sounds like it could be a Lovecraft story. This immortal thing that can get anywhere has a living shadow and wears the face of a young boy, insists on enslaving your female descendants for perpetuity. Tom the cat. He was just trying to get rid of a mouse that frequently stole food and thrashed the house. Tom was just doing his job as the cat of the house. And thus we end today's episode of the Story Nook. Go ahead and let me know which bad guys you think were actually 100% right down in the comments below. Have a great day. Make sure to stay hydrated, all that good stuff. Bye-bye.